Alright, y'all. In this video, it's gonna be more radical acceptance about things and how I'm trying to come to a better understanding of who I am and the people around me. And this one, we're gonna talk about how I am coming to, really truly accept that most people, unfortunately, in the world, aren't really or shouldn't be very close to you in life. And they're not bad people. They're not necessarily, evil, or I want to put any labels on them, but understanding that the vast majority of people in this life aren't really for you, and you can't really have too much of a personal relationship with them, based off of how we interact with each other on a more biological sense versus like the social sense, the social lens. Society always tells us that we should get along with people, make friends, and build connections and communities with people. It sounds very good. It sounds very nice, very, very wholesome. And there's definitely a lot of truth to that. But also, we have to also keep in mind like the biological side of that as well, where depending on how people feel about themselves, depending on the climate of the social of society at the time, and how we are kind of what the vibe is about self love and everything. There's a good and bad time to invite people to get close to you and allowing them in your space, and to really kind of have a lasting impact on who you are as a person. And the older I get, the more situations I get myself into, I'm starting to see that unfortunately, 3 out of 4 people that you run into aren't really people that you should have super close to you, because they just don't align with your values, with your morals, they're not even at peace with themselves, and they're not at peace with themselves, and how are they going to be at peace with you, especially if they feel like you have more than what they do. If they feel threatened by you in any way, shape, or form, you really can't get too close to those people. And even though the people that you might know in your local community, if you build a very close, intimate relationship with them, to where they're telling you their deepest, darkest secrets, or very intimate details about who they are and where they come from, you'll truly start to see them for who they are, and then you'll have to make that very difficult decision about, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have this specific person be so close to me, simply because I don't really see how this person is actually going to help me grow, and also keep my peace and be okay with who I am as a person, and also allow myself to give myself grace, allow me to fail and to make mistakes, and while being allowed to make those mistakes, giving myself grace, and without having that person come down on me hard, or condemn me. These are things that I've done to people because I was like projecting I was giving them back to what they were giving to me. And I now understand like how flawed that was on my end. And that was pretty much like my sign of telling myself that, oh, this person should not be close to me, because they're bringing these parts of me, who are parts of who I am as a human, as an animal, and like highlighting them and making me kind of like gravitate towards it, kind of making this like a more set part of my personality, which I don't want it to be. I have some semblance of control about how much of this side of me I want to make visible, how much I really want to kind of lean into. And once you surround yourself with people who allow you to lean into that part of you, of your biology, it becomes more set. It becomes a bigger piece of the pie of who you are. And that that realization made it abundantly clear that so many people, I mean, your closest friends, your closest families, a lot of your co-workers, the people who are in your surrounding area, in your environment, a lot of them just aren't going to get you down the path that you're trying to go on like a very personal level. You still need them in your life. You know, these people still matter. They should exist. I came to that realization by playing these two amazing games called Dragon's Dogma. The first one and the second one. The second one more so than the first one. I'll make a video about why I love these two games from a philosophical lens and from like a neurodivergent lens as well, more so than like the gameplay of it. Even though the gameplay of both of those games are great, like the message of it is fantastic, especially since it's like a more Eastern spin on it, more of a Japanese spin. It's not so much like in your face like we do here in the Western countries, especially here in America. Over there, you have the kind of they give you the blueprints of it, but you still got to build it yourself. And I love it. I love the fact that they allow you to do that. But in the second game, spoilers for at least for my interpretation of the meaning of the game. So if you don't want to know that, then probably want to skip off on this part, because this game is definitely worth playing. But the end of the game, and you can definitely see like remnants of this throughout the entire course of the game. It pretty much says that everyone is here for a reason. Everyone in that game is there for a reason. The innkeepers, the store owners, the quest givers, the people who are just in the towns. They all have a set role in the game, and so does you, the main character, the Arisen. There are no like main characters in the game. Even like I said, there aren't any like actual person who is better than anyone else. They're all on an equal playing field, and they all have their role that they all have to fulfill in order for the world to keep spinning and everyone to kind of keep going down the path that they're supposed to go through in life. And for the majority of the game, it's pretty much told to you that your role is to slay the dragon and to become the king of the world or for the region. And that's part of like the cycle of that world for the Arisen to be born from the dragon. I want to get into too many details of it, but the dragon picks the Arisen to go on this quest to gain allies and to eventually slay the dragon and to become king and to take the throne. But throughout the game, and especially towards the end, you start to see that there's actually a little bit more to it. And actually this cycle is actually keeping a whole lot of people from doing what they're supposed to do. That the Arisen and the dragon actually aren't supposed to be there. At least not long term. That this cycle is not supposed to continue with these two on this endless war with each other, because every time an Arisen is made, there has to be a dragon. Every time there's a dragon, then there's to be an Arisen. It kind of keeps going and going and going, and there's so many negative consequences for the people around them, to where at the end of the game, when you get the true ending, the only way that people can truly live the life that they're supposed to live is from the Arisen sacrificing himself to pretty much banish the dragon from that land. And once the dragon is gone, then the Arisen is also gone. That cycle gets broken, and all of a sudden people get to live the lives that they were supposed to live. And a lot of the curses of having the Arisen and the dragon in that world are lifted. And people get to, live their happy lives. And that was at least my interpretation of it, to where like each person has their supposed goal, their role in life. And it's very, very similar here, to where each person in our lives has a very specific role. You know what I'm saying? Some people might be in your life to teach you a very, very, very important lesson. Either you're learning it through your own experience from that person, or you're learning it from watching that person, or from the tales that you hear from that person. that might be what they're there for. They're not supposed to be your best friend. They're not supposed to be your love interest. They're just there to just teach you something, get you some type of experience. And I'm noticing that that's pretty much most people that you're going to run into in life. They're just there to give you some type of experience on people, on humans, on animals, on how we just are in life. And a lot of that is difficult for some people to take. That's why the black pill is taking such a huge, rampant effect on people, and it's like kind of being widespread all over the world, is because of the knowledge that we're getting from other people. Not so much just from in our immediate environment, from all over the world. We're just seeing so many, we're getting so much knowledge that we've never really had for the vast majority of humanity, because we've never been disconnected before. And because of that, we are definitely seeing a shortage of friends and a shortage of connections that are being made. You made a video about that, about the friendless epidemic, and it's not because people just don't want to make friends. It's because we have gotten so much information about who we are and who people are in general that isn't jiving with society. It's actually showing like the more animalistic part of who we are, the more biological side of us, that is making us very timid to actually make very close connections, because we tried to do it at a very young age. And since people are more self-aware than ever, since people are more intelligent than ever, people are just getting rejected in mass. People are getting ostracized in mass. People are just being very, very tribal, very, very animalistic, very tapping into their biology a lot earlier than people did before, because society doesn't have this stranglehold on people and children as it did throughout for hundreds or sometimes thousands of years, depending on where you live. There's still some countries that their societal rules are definitely kind of dictating what people do, and they're dealing with the consequences. A lot of Asian countries are dealing with, especially I believe Western Asian countries like Japan, Singapore, Korea. They're definitely dealing with the remnants in China as well, dealing with the remnants of what happens when society kind of dictates what people do versus allowing the people to actually kind of choose their own destiny and letting things lie where they're supposed to, versus kind of thinking that you can tame people, that you can take that animalistic things, that animalistic side that we've had for tens of thousands of years, just kind of let them just go by the wayside, because we made some rules and we enforced them very harshly. It's going to take a little bit more than that versus allowing people to just kind of come to terms with who we are, and allowing us to kind of dictate how we want to move after learning about these new getting this new knowledge about who we are as a species. But again, back a little bit more on topic. Like the more you know, and this has very little to do with how attractive you are as a person. I'm not talking about physically, that is overall how much you attract other people. You are going to see, the true versions of people at some point. The veil is going to be raised. You're going to see the person behind the curtain, and you're really going to see people for who they are, to where, at least in my minds, we are going to really have to start making some very, very harsh and not rash, but blunt decisions about who we allow in our lives. Because I've noticed like so many celebrities, artists, entertainers, pretty much anyone who has gained a lot of high social standing, a lot of wealth, and a lot of knowledge, they aren't as close to their families, their immediate families, as a more average person. And I've noticed that these people tend to be more conventionally attractive. They tend to be also like very talented in multiple facets, and they just do not seem to have a very close knit relationship with their parents, with their siblings, with even friends. They fall out with friends all the time, and they are very much against. They have a very they seem to have a very low what's the word I'm looking for? They don't seem to speak very highly of people overall. That insert insert these people aren't loyal. These people are going to stab you in the back. This, that, and the third, which is valid because that's their lived experience. But it's a little bit more nuance to that, to where now I'm taking it as that's just who that person is in my life, in my story, I guess, my journey. Where someone might be very cruel to me, very very just every time they're in my presence, they're just not very kind. But when I'm not there and they're with their family or with their friend, they can be like the nicest, kindest person in the world. So like, who am I to put a label on that person to be like, you're this, that, and the third? There's a lot more nuance to it than that. But at the same time, I still have to understand like the fact that you are projecting that onto me shows me that overall, as a person, you still have a lot of self reflection to do. And even once you do that, we still have this biological urges to compete, attack people who threaten us, and to compete against people who we seem are a threat to us, and not to accept, or what's the word I'm looking for, to try to build community with those people. This is how we feel, and the knowledge that we have, and the ignorance that we also have as well, where it's a uphill battle for so many people, and especially like the least amount of intelligence that you have innately, that you were born with, plus the intelligence that you gain from your environment and the people that you're around, is going to also put like a huge limitation on that. So many people want to be these great leaders, these great visionaries, but there's limitations to that are outside of their control. And coming to that understanding and accepting that for so many people is a very, very harsh reality. It's very tough. I empathize with those people because I know, at least in my, at least in my world, in my lens, that I am going to be very successful. I've always been successful. That's why I'm so confident about what I'm doing here, what I'm going to be doing in the future, where I don't have a whole lot of guilt. I don't have a whole lot of carry a whole lot of that weight that a lot of people that are carrying because of how they feel and what they've done. That guilt can do a whole lot to someone, but understanding that a lot of people are still dealing with that. I mean, they might be in their 60s, 70s, 80s, still dealing with the guilt that they've carried. You have no idea what your local butcher has had to do to get that shop. You think, oh, they probably got a loan from the bank, and they got it from the bank, and they've done a lot of things on the up and up, and they did a lot of very noble, honest, and kind things to get to where they are. But if that's your worldview, then you're going to kind of see, kind of put that on everyone else. And the reality is that people are still animals. We're still creatures of habit, and a lot of people did not do the most honest, honorable things to get to the positions that they're at when you met them. And then, like I said, I don't want to put a label on those people. It's just kind of how things are. Unfortunately, people, if you want to get to the top, you have to take shortcuts, and you have to kind of do things that other people might not socially agree with. But who are we to put those labels on people just to, kind of do the whole crabs in a bucket analogy, to pull people down to keep them where they're at? That's why I don't really fault people for cheating, or for like in cheating in all senses of the word, in life and sports and competitions and all that. Even though it sucks to be on the other end of that, that is unfortunately, or at least I'll even think fortunately, from my perspective, a part of how humans react or how humans behave with each other. We will do anything that we need to do to get the results that we're looking for. And like I was saying, who are we to tell someone that's wrong and what's right? Because a lot of the times we're just kind of going off of feelings. We're not actually going off of, what actually makes a whole lot of sense in the long term. So when I kind of started to come to this conclusion, it made it easier to really see why most people that you're going to have in your life aren't really going to be there for a very long time, and they're not really for you to build your community, build wealth, connection, knowledge from. They just might be there for a very split second. So it made it easier for me to not only take all the kindness that I receive from people, and not like put that label on that person. Oh, this person's a kind person. They were kind to me, because that same person might be very, very cruel to someone else. They might be very, very cruel to the vast majority of people that they run into, because maybe they're fearful of you, they want something from you. They're being very kind. And the same thing applies to the reverse, where someone might be very cruel to you, and you might think that person's an asshole. That person is not very kind or very good, but they might be very kind and nice and sweet to other people. You might just be one or two people who they just don't like because of something that you might have said, or something that they might have feel about themselves, or a misunderstanding, and it gets a very, very convoluted when you kind of just want to paint people with a broad brush versus accepting them for who they are, and kind of being like, I'm only going to have 2 to 3 very close friends. I'm only going to have, I'm only going to find 1 or 2 people who I really can live the majority of my life with, as a lover in a romantic, intimate relationship. Not because people are terrible, or people are just awful, just because of who we are as animals, as humans. And society can never truly change that. And society can never really have us believe in a long-term sense that we're all going to get along, we're all going to like each other. There should be a baseline of respect that we should have for ourselves and for everyone else. But with so much nonsense and fuckery that's going on in society that is kind of keeping us from seeing all the things we have in common, and kind of just showing the things that we have that are separate, that keeps us apart, that's causing a whole lot of turmoil, and causing a whole lot of hectic behaviors and impulsive behaviors from people. But that's also part of like the neurodivergent, how so many people are neurodivergent, and our brains are just constantly evolving because of our environments. But that's a different video. But to get back on topic, is when I came to this conclusion, it actually made me empathize with people a lot more, and give people a lot more grace, and understanding that, yeah, this person who I've been trying to connect with for the past couple months, the more I be around, more around them, especially in different environments, and different people are involved, and there's different moods and different vibes. You just start to get to this conclusion that, yeah, I probably really shouldn't be this close to this person. This person probably isn't going to be a friend that I'm going to have for more than a couple years. This person might just be an acquaintance because of things that are completely out of my control. And yeah, sure, you have to kind of grieve that loss, or grieve the conclusion that you're coming to about this person, that you were hoping that it could have turned into something more. But that's just part of life. That's the true black pill of life, the reality of it, where the vast majority of people just aren't going to be there for a very, very long time. We read these statistics about how our parents and grandparents had 10 plus friends. There's no way that could have actually been true. They had 10 people who they were somewhat honest with and somewhat truthful with, but they weren't truly being themselves, because society was like, at that time, had a stranglehold on what people couldn't say or do, what they could wear or couldn't wear, how they could act, and all these different things, at least in public. So many people were one way in public and another way in private, which is what caused a lot of turmoil. But now, because of the internet and because of how connected we are and our collective intelligence, it's harder for people to kind of put on that facade and do that long term, we're really coming to a very uncomfortable truth about ourselves and about how humans behave with each other when it comes to life. So that's causing a whole lot of people being like, I don't want to have anything to do with anyone. I'm doing my own thing. This whole lone wolf kind of mentality, especially with men, but women are also going through it as well. And it's not wrong, but from a long-term perspective, it's definitely not healthy for us to do this. We definitely need each other. We definitely need to be close to each other. And I think the best way to come to that is if we all kind of come to a pretty much understanding that the vast majority of people, no matter where you fall in the spectrum of attractiveness and social standing and wealth and all that, no matter where you are, the vast majority of people on this planet are not going to be in your life in like an intimate, close, communal sense for very long. It's just not something that is possible right now with how society is built. It's very much in the past, and our behaviors are somewhere in the middle, and our biology is also still kind of in the past, but it also is in the future, especially with our brains being, completely wired differently as a mass than it was, 50 years ago. So it's like we aren't as connected because, like I'm saying, society is just stuck in the past, and we need to kind of really do like a huge global update on how people want to be perceived and seen, and how we want to move going forward, because what's going on right now is causing so much pain with people because of we just aren't getting what we thought we aren't receiving what we thought we were going to get, and it's because society was just hanging on to this idea of who we are, and it isn't jiving with the actual reality of it. And that's why I'm like embracing the black pill so much, because even though yes I benefit from a lot of it, there is no winners in life in the long term, unfortunately. I know people want to feel that way, but it's a lot more complicated than that. I'm still going to receive, just by me being an attractive person, I'm still going to receive the truth from people, and it can be very harsh. It can be extremely harsh. I talked about it a little bit in other videos, and I'll talk about it a little bit more in a future video about just the getting the raw truth from people so much, and trying your best to stay sane and navigate through the world and through society, and keeping on kind of like a little bit of a front, just to keep yourself from like having an absolute meltdown, and trying to keep your life together when so much of your reality is being shattered right in front of you. But how you see people, like who this person actually is, who that person actually is, what's actually going on here, this isn't right, that isn't right. It's just like that acceptance is very, very tough for people. It was tough for me, and I know it's gonna be tough for a lot of you. And it probably still it's still is tough. It's never not going to be easy, but it's worth it. It's worth it to come to that peace and to get to that understanding of yourself. So that is like the crux of this video, is not to really have like this more of a shitty attitude that most people are just terrible and everyone's this and everyone's that. Just being like, most people aren't for you on like a personal, intimate, one-on-one lens. Doesn't matter where you are. You can be the kindest, nicest person. You can be the biggest asshole in the world. You can be somewhere in between. It still applies. You can't run from it, because there's the societal part of things are always going to apply, no matter what. We're always going to build communities. We're always going to have groups. We're always going to do that. There's always going to be like hierarchies, but the biological part of these conversations need to come to the forefront, because that's what's causing a whole lot of the anger, the emotions that are coming out of people. Is we are definitely operating on a very hyper biological sense right now, and that wasn't what we were told as kids. We all were told that we're all the same, and we're all going, if you just do this and do this, you're going to get this, that, and the third, and this does not jive. It's not like, this is not what you told me. You know what I'm saying? I ordered this and you gave me this. This is not, you know what I'm saying? This is not what I was told. And I get it. I'm the same exact way. I'm in the same exact boat. So we all just need to kind of radically accept what things are, who we are, who she is, who he is, and understand that nothing is settled. The science is not settled on anything. We're learning that every single day. Someone in this group that I've started on Meetup, and I suggest you guys should, if you're having a hard time finding people just to talk to or to confide in, go on these different apps and sites and just try to meet up with people and just talk, even though through Skype or whatever. Even if they might be a lot older than you, they're always everyone has wisdom. Like I was saying in the Dragon's Dogma example, everyone's here for a reason. You know what I'm saying? So just tap into whatever little nugget of wisdom that they can give you. Please get it from them. Even if that nugget is, wow, people can be shitty, people can be really cruel. It's good to know that. It's good to understand that, because it makes the people who aren't that shine a little bit hot, little bit brighter. But back on the Meetup, someone sent a link about how scientists are finding research that every cell in our body it's like alive. It's like doing its own thing, and it's kind of rewiring and kind of giving us a different perspective, like who we are as people, as animals, and how our cells react to everything that we do. I didn't finish the article, but I read a little bit of it, and it's very, very fascinating. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying, like nothing is settled. We know so little about ourselves and so little about our environments that it makes us, when people, and I'll definitely put myself in that, when we kind of make these broad assumptions on things, we're just kind of going off of our ignorance, and we're a very arrogant group of animals where we think we know a lot more than we actually do. So when people say, I'm learning something new every single day, that is very true. We're never going to stop. We're never going to figure it out ever. This world will be gone long before we can figure it out. You know what I'm saying? This plan will be finished long before we do that. It's there's so many things that is changing and evolving on a daily basis that it makes it exciting, at least in my mind, but in my world. But yeah, the wrap this yapping session up. I'm coming to a better understanding that most people aren't going to be in your life for long, and that's fine. That's normal. That's probably how things should have been since right off the rip. But like I said, societies put strangleholds on people. People want power. People want influence. It's part of who we are, as animals. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to fault anybody, but coming to that conclusion, coming to that understanding and accepting it has made the people who are in my life just shine so much brighter, and it's going to make me gravitate towards those people and towards people like them even more. I'm accepting who I am and who my family is and who some of my friends are and my environment, and it's just helping me come to a lot of it's bringing a lot of peace into my life, coming to this conclusion. So that's probably like the nugget of wisdom I can give to y'all is really embrace reality, embrace what things are, truly accept it, because a lot of what things are you have very little control over, and that's probably for the best. Honestly, I don't want to have as much control as people think that they do over people, the amount of influence that they think they have over people. At the end of the day, that's what Dragon's Dogma taught me, is that we really just are kind of getting in each other's way of living our lives. So we just need to do what we're supposed to do, and then kind of get up out of here. So yeah, that's it. I don't really got too much else to bring to the table on this topic, but that's all I got for y'all. Take it easy.